Uh, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, let's talk. Um, okay, so Denver, okay. I want to be very clear. What I'm about to say really upsets me, and it only upsets me because I know the struggle in which I've gone through and what other people are currently going through, right? Um Apparently Denver's mayor is putting some pressure on his colleagues, right? To come up with some funding in order to house these migrants who are coming here across the border without permission, illegally. I mean, we're not going to sit here. I mean, it is illegal, right? According to the Constitution and the actual process of coming over here, right? And I noticed that the word refugees, right, is being utilized very loosely. And we're just saying that everybody who's coming here is a refugee. But it's like, I don't know how many technically quote unquote refugees are actually coming over here versus how many people are taking advantage of the fact that we don't have strong borders anymore. Okay. Now, what bothers me is you have the everyday citizen, and you know where my heart goes? It really is not for the homeless like that because we're not dealing with the regular, average, everyday, like homeless that you normally see, that you used to see. These folks are actually just not giving a fuck. They're on drugs, they've got mental health issues, and they genuinely need help. Like, some of these people need to be locked up for like the rest of their life type ish. Okay, you're not dealing with the average veteran that comes over here and comes back home and now he's got issues and he's homeless. Like, yes, those exist, but we're dealing with a different level of homelessness right now, right? Where I feel bad is for the average everyday person because these people exist. Unfortunately, though, they are most likely not eligible for the assistance that the homeless are eligible for and that these migrant crises are eligible for. Are the everyday average roommate, right? That cannot afford to pay for a one-bedroom apartment. Okay. Um, those are the people that I feel bad for, right? The people that are working their butt off and they're really working their butt off to make ends meet, but they can't even afford a roof over their head. Do you understand me? Those are the people, in my personal opinion, that are the most overlooked, that should be the most helped in this country. Fucked up, like real talk. I really believe in helping people who show that they can help themselves. That is a whole class of people that people are just overlooking. The people who make about 35K and more, right? That cannot get government assistance. They do not qualify for government assistance, but they probably need it, right? The most. The people who are working the job but living out of their van, they're making that 30 something K plus, right? And they're living in their van because they cannot afford a roof over their head. In my personal opinion, I don't give a damn if they got a skill set or not. At least you're striving. You're not even trying. You are genuinely striving because even in the time of homelessness, right? To be able to maintain a job, that says a lot. Those are the people that we should be helping. And it's very unfortunate that you have a whole generation of people that are literally making, like, let me be clear. I told you guys this. There was a time when I was making about $500. I had $500 worth of rent, right? And I'm making all this money. Life is good because I got $500 worth of rent. Do you understand me? But when I go to 1300, 1400, 1500, 1600, when you're looking at these prices, I'm beginning to realize that you really do need to make 120K just to be able to survive. Do you understand? So, if these people are working their everyday jobs, regardless of what that job looks like, and they're showing up, they're putting in the effort. Unfortunately, not everybody has a skill set and or knows that that's what they probably should be doing. Like, that's just the reality of life. Not everybody's going to walk that path. But if you're getting up every single day and you're making money and you're paying your bills and you're doing it honestly, because even those in a van, right, they still got bills, maybe some smaller than others, right? But they shouldn't have to live in a van. You shouldn't be making $60,000 and barely be able to afford a roof over your head. Do you understand me? That's where the government is really fucking up, in my opinion, in terms of who they decide to help. Now, in my opinion, your homeless should be vetted. And I mean really vetted. If I'm going to be paying you $1,000 a month for free, for nothing, I need to be seeing some sort of action, right? See, the problem is we're giving all this free shit out to people who are never going to pay it back. And the people who are paying for that free shit are the people that are working hard to make ends meet, but can't. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's backwards. Then you got these motherfuckers from God knows where. They're not being vetted. Nobody knows who's coming into this fucking country. But you mean to tell me now all of a sudden we need to get as much funding as we possibly can to house these people? What? Then what really teed me off, what actually triggered this video, is I'm going through the comments because I always love to read how many people really think the way that I think, right? And so I'm always wondering, because believe it or not, these videos get a very few likes, right? So, which in my thought process, many likes, they probably only got 4 likes, but like 19 comments. So that tells me you've got a disproportionate amount of dislikes versus likes, because there's no way you got that many people in the comments talking about this ain't right. But yeah, I can't see how many dislikes you got, but you got 4 likes under this. That's why I'm telling you, Denver is not as democratic. I really believe there aren't that many Democrats as much. Like, I gotta figure out, I'm sure during the election I'll be able to articulate it better, but I really believe it's all about the counties, right? Not necessarily the full state. And I really believe that Colorado, if it was fair, because if you're taking the largest counties, I guess, I don't know. I don't know how that's done, but I feel like something's off. Because when you go under these videos, and again, I'm watching it, maybe not on, I mean, maybe it's biased because I'm watching Fox, but really, I'm just watching Denver news, right? So I don't know what they are. I'm pretty sure they're Democrat. But underneath the comments, anytime you see some crazy ass shit like this, they never have a ton of likes. Ever. Ever. And the comments are usually against shit like this. So in the comments, there was a girl who was saying that she worked for a nonprofit or had a friend who worked for a nonprofit who literally goes out and builds houses for these fuckers. Do you know what I could be doing if the government that I live under could build a house for me? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? You're sitting here building houses for these people And now I sound racist as hell, but it's the truth. And I can say these people because they're not fucking Americans. I'm sorry. So you're willing to build homes for these aliens, right? These foreigners, these invaders. I mean, whatever words you want to use, because they're not Americans. But you're not willing to build homes for all of these young people that are now in the workforce, that are coming into a position of power, that have a little, because 60K, let me tell you something, it's very interesting how money has changed. In the average economy, right? And I want to say average because that's really not a little bit, if that makes sense, right? Your cost of living to enjoy life, you shouldn't have to make 120 fucking K a year. That's the real reality of this shit, right? You've got millennials that are grown, that are now having to go back home and live with their parents. Now, not saying that there's a clear difference between, again, I'm all for those who help themselves. I can't help somebody who cannot help themselves. That is a universal law. If you cannot do it, I listen, there's nothing I can do for you. And if you're not my child, I am not obligated to take care of you. Do you understand? There's a difference in a special needs child and a person that just doesn't want to do shit. Two different things. So again, if you refuse to help yourself, you've got all the tools available, and you would rather live in self-pity, right? And victimhood, and not do for self. What the fuck do I look like turning around and giving you $100? Like, real talk. How does that make your situation better? Explain it to me, Sway. Because we always talking about, and let me bring it back to relationships and the black man, right? And the man, and how the woman is always saying, well, you shouldn't be giving a man money. You shouldn't be taking care of the man. If the man falls, he's got to fall on himself to be able to take care and provide for himself, right? So does that not apply for every other person on the planet, or does that only just apply to men in relationships? Do you understand what I'm saying? So that mentality has to be the mentality of all people moving forward, understanding that no, I cannot lend you a room. If you're not doing what you should be doing in life, I can't help you. Especially when you're dealing with grown folks, because they should know better. It's not my job to teach you. Now, the younger folks, the babies, the kids, that's different. But a grown ass motherfucker, that's a whole nother conversation. So why the fuck are we feeling this much pity that we're willing to throw away our entire fucking country for the sake of a fucking foreigner that we know nothing about? Huh? So you've got these nonprofit organizations. Problem number one, nonprofit organizations who are out there building homes for motherfuckers they don't even fucking know, that don't even speak their own fucking language, that really don't even belong in this country, that should have never came to this country. Like, make it make sense. And we're doing it under the guise of, oh, they're refugees. These aren't refugees. These aren't people that are incapable. If they're able to come here and get you to build a home for them, get the fuck out of here. They're not incapable. So, and what I mean by that is, you wouldn't even do that for your own goddamn neighbor that's sleeping on the street right now, but you can do it for somebody else and from another country. Why? Because your heart is so big, or is that not stupidity? That is the most stupidest shit. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't buy. Okay. And maybe this is me. Maybe it's because I'm not nice and I'm not extra friendly. See, nice, I keep telling y'all that word is not good. The word nice, when people tell me they're just being nice and friendly, it's like, for what though? See, because the nice guy finishes last. So are you not setting everyone else up for destruction? Like, are we not like, is it about the money? Because we know that nonprofits, let me be clear. If I start a nonprofit right now, you mean to tell me that that's not profitable for the person at the top? Are we really having this conversation right now? And while it's a nonprofit, you mean to tell me that there are not ways in which you guys collect money that allow your bills to still be paid and you to be living this lavish lifestyle? So I'm not either we're really that naive as Americans as to how this shit really works, or people are getting paid at the very top and they're allowing this shit to happen as a result of. These nonprofits are just as much a part of the problem as anybody else a part of the problem. You see? So apparently, what she said is these folks build houses, right, for these people, okay? And they move them in, they furnish, they give them a house that's completely and fully furnished. And it's used stuff, some of it, right? And she said that one of these women, I guess she moved in a family, she brought a bunch of used items to this family. And this family was nitpicking through all the used items about how they don't want to. You're a fucking okay, first of all, you're here without not supposed to be here. The government is giving you grace at this moment and allowing you to be here. And you're gonna nitpick about what's used and what's not, and you got a whole house out of the deal for free. And in Colorado, let me be clear, you're not getting nothing that's not really nice. I mean, they're not building shacks, not to my knowledge. So you get all of this for free and you have the audacity to complain about used items. And so what this lady said is her friend went home and cried. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the bitch had no reason working for this fucking nonprofit who's allowing this shit to happen in the first place. The fuck? Maybe that's karma. Maybe that's God letting you know, homie, you picked the wrong profession. I want people to understand something. Even the job that you work at, right? What you choose to do for a living, that shit can come back to you. Do you understand that? So if you're doing people dirty, which these, I don't want to say that the intent is dirty because I don't know these people that are starting these nonprofits, but it could be. It ain't, American greed is what it is, right? My point though is you're aiding and abetting the nonsense, but you wouldn't even do it for the own people that are already fucking here, bro. Right? Because we're not really, I mean, they're building these apartments for these homeless people, quote unquote, right? Affordable housing is what they call it. But that's all an agenda in itself to really disrupt actual homeowners that are not affordable housing, actual communities that are not affordable, right? You see what I'm saying? That's all another issue on its own. But the reason that's being allowed to be done is because there is an agenda for that as well. You see what I'm saying? There's a reason for everything. They don't do anything without getting anything. But these nonprofits, that's an everyday person like me and you who started that. The intent behind a nonprofit is to do good within your community. I'm not understanding how you're doing good in your community if you're not building homes for your community, but you can build a home for a migrant who just got here like 8 weeks ago. Huh? And then you want to turn around and go home and cry when these people are ungrateful. And you mean to tell me if that's not manipulation at its finest? You done already gave them everything at a silver platter. Why wouldn't they demand the best? I come across the border, you give me 5-star treatment. I mean, okay, I got to deal with maybe sleeping outside for a tiny bit. But I know some white man is gonna come and save me, some white woman, because it's really only white people saving these motherfuckers. It ain't nobody else. I mean, the Spanish, they saved their own, and that's another conversation for another time. However, and when I'm looking at it on television, it's white people. It ain't Mexican. I don't really see Mexicans out there being like, yo, I don't see it. And I always tell you guys, when they're here, when you're dealing with this type of stuff, and these people come here, whether it be from Haiti, Africa, Mexico, after the first year or two, they're back to Democrat or Republican because they see the difference, right, between the two, as long as they're educated enough. So when I'm talking to people, like when I'm talking to Haitians and shit, they're voting, unless I don't deal with hood people, right? That's a little different. But when they're educated, they're not voting Democrat. There's a lot of Mexicans that will tell you these folks need to be coming in legally. Believe it or not, because of the education level. So understand, these people, that's what they're building them up to. Is so that now these people are going to be able to participate in politics here in the next few years. You're going to see that. The same way the Mexicans have been able to start doing it. And I don't know, man. I understand. I don't know, man. I don't know what Denver mayor is thinking. I don't know why white, and I say white people because they're the ones with the power. It'd be different if we were the ones with the power. The mayor here is a white male, and he's destroying his own country. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking weird. It's weird. And these are supposed to be the most educated people on the planet, supposedly, but you're allowing this shit to go through. Now, are there black mayors that are doing it too? It's not a racial thing. I am more surprised when I see white people allowing this shit to happen. Because my natural thought process, and this is a bias, this is on me, is I think white people should be a little bit more, I guess white people are expected to be more educated than this shit. I'm sorry. So I live in a state where that's who they are. Those are the people that are protecting these people, going and giving them food. Protect migrant rights. Like, what? They need to go home. They need to go back home. And the houses you're building, like, we appreciate it, but we're going to need you guys to start building houses for people who are already here, right? Instead of making them jump through hoops and hurdles, because every time they house a migrant, they're telling us that these hoops and hurdles really do not need to exist. But they exist for the American who lives here, but not from the foreigner that we know nothing about. And I say we because we're all in this together. When it comes to this country, everybody who lives here, who was born here, is an American. I don't care how much you like it or don't like it. I don't care how much you claim to be African, European. You are a fucking American, bro. Wake the hell up. And I understand this whole thing. Well, the country is falling, and, it's prophecy and pro-blackness or pro-anti, pro-whiteness or whatever. I get we got our issues, but we are still American. I mean, we were all born on the same land, essentially, is all I'm saying. So we can keep, arguing whether or not we 3/5 of a human or whatever. But last time I checked, I was born in the US. And I got a big problem when I got people coming into my country, taking up some shit that the average person who was born here could take and really benefit off of. I got a problem with that. And I got a problem when Americans are participating in this bullshit. Yeah, I got a fucking problem with that. So that's my take on it, man. I don't like this mayor. I don't know what kind of male he is. I don't like him. He's worse than the last one we just had. See, I mean, really, it's like Denver just keeps getting worse and worse, and everybody keeps saying this is Denver. Basically, Denver has hit its peak and it's about to come crashing down. I hope not, but I mean, too many people are saying it. So that's my take on that, y'all. We got to start helping the people. I don't really care about the homeless right now. Like, in my opinion, I've got a mixed bag about homeless people right now. I really feel like drugs is not in, like, listen, I understand drugs are a sickness, right? I get it. That's what people want to believe. That's cool. To me, it's a choice. And when you choose to go down that road, you're accepting everything that comes with that, because we know too much about drugs right now for us not to be held accountable for that decision. And if you're homeless and you clearly have tools available to you to get clean, and I know it's not that easy, right? I get that people, that's the argument people are making or whatever, but I was homeless and I know how uneasy it is when you homeless. Trust me. I wasn't a drug addict, but I've been homeless. So couple homeless, which is not easy, with being on drugs. I just don't know how much money you can throw at that and expect it to change. I would think that it really needs some like the person has to be willing to make that change. That's nothing like the average person can help. You see someone on fentanyl, the videos that I've been seeing, I don't know how I'm gonna help that. I'm not gonna walk up to somebody on fentanyl and be like, hey, do you need housing right now? Like, fuck no, I'm not even dealing with that shit. I will not even approach. I would just let you be on fentanyl. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that kind of girl. And I don't mind giving back. I don't mind helping the quote unquote homeless, but only when the homeless really wants to help themselves. And if you're in a state of mind where we can't even have a discussion about you helping yourself because you way off in la la land, that means you need a higher degree of assistance that's beyond money. Do you understand? This is why we had mental institutions. And while I get that things weren't the best in those mental institutions, these people have to go somewhere. And building brand new luxury apartments and discounting them at an affordable rate, right? That's not really solving the issue, because these people get in these places and then they tear it up and then it's not really livable. So what do you do to help these folks? And I don't want to be the person of bad news, but I feel like, there's got to be a level of, I believe in population control at this point. Because what do you do? Like, there's so many homeless people that are okay with being homeless that it's like, and I'm not talking about your people in the vans and, that are working and trying to make it and save up, because that's actually, people be really doing that. And I'm all for that. If that's the route you want to go, hell yeah. I mean, it's a journey. Have fun and be safe. Hopefully it's a good journey. Adventure, right? But for the everyday blow and schmo that is using drugs, they on the streets, they homeless, they causing havoc, they raising crime, they doing all types of shit, and they refuse to get help, refuse to do better, can't do better. Their mind is all screwed up. It's like, what do you do with that person? I've talked about people wasting space, right? I really believe that is a thing. If you're not going to utilize your gift and why God brought you here, and you're not going to walk in your true purpose, why are you here? What's your purpose? See, but it's not my job to say, you know what, it's your time to die today. But I'm just saying, if the government wants to take that role, they're, I mean, people got to go. Because at some point, I mean, what are you going to do with all the homeless people? We say they bother us because they're sitting there in camps on the whole street, right? But then what do you really do with them? Where do they go? Nobody has a real solution because nobody knows. And that's where it becomes a bit dangerous and it becomes a slippery slope, because then the government says, oh, we have no use for them. So now that people have written off the homeless, because that's what it sounds like, we've gone beyond building houses for people that actually need it, not the average everyday college student that just graduated, that's got a 60, making 60, 70K, plus a year. No, we're not going to help that person, even though that person can very well benefit from food stamps, from all of that, because it's not like that's a lot of money. I mean, it is a lot of money, I guess, perspective wise, but with inflation so high, man, let me tell you, your rent is costing you at least 30,000. I mean, it's not like, you're really paying a pretty penny. It's not like 60K is much at all. It's like the new 30K. You might as well slash that in half. That's what 60K represents. So that's all I got to say on the matter, y'all. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.